Michael, James. We're here in the almost finished organised chaos warehouse in Fitness Cartel Mackay, and you've just come off a huge day with the finishing touches coming along. And I think we can see the beautiful murals behind us. How's it feel, mate? 3 days out from the grand opening?
Yeah, it's pretty surreal, to be fair. People often, well, not often, but recently have been saying, you look too chill. They sort of see the size of this facility and they can kind of see that, yeah, obviously most of it's done, but there's still quite a bit to do.
Yeah.
So they're like, why are you so chill? And I'm very, very honest with them. I'm like, I've done a lot of gyms in my time and I've never done anything of this scale. So ordinarily, I would be panicking and running around. But we've been very fortunate to be part of a brand with a support office that has done many of them. And 2 only opened in the last sort of 6 or 8 weeks down in southeast Queensland. And so where we are now relative to where they were, 3 or 4 days out, we're miles ahead and they still opened no problem. And I've always had that as a bit of a benchmark, if the other guys did it easy and we're sort of ahead of them, I'm going to be sleeping at night.
How are you managing, mate? What are some of the practices that you do to manage the stress, to manage the pressure of a glooming opening date and a big franchise? What are some of the techniques you use?
Head in the sand until people like you mention it. No, I'm joking. Look, obviously my background is I come up as a personal trainer many years ago, and a lot of my clients were stressed executives. So fortunately, I was quite passionate about the topic. And so I'd be a fool to have learnt all this sort of stuff and not try and put anything into practice myself when I'm, when the shoe's on the other foot. So a big thing for me, breathing's a big thing, getting that right. And then, we were sort of talking off air a minute ago that I've had to be the poor unfortunate guinea pig to road test our wellness facility. And one of the terms I learnt many, many years ago is that sometimes a workout is not as important as a work in. And by that, I mean, doing stuff to focus on what's under the skin, what's under the hood, so to speak. So I've been using practices that are focusing on a work in. When I feel like stress levels are rising or I'm a bit reactive or a bit snappy or something like that, and I catch myself and you go, hey, that's not normal. So sauna's a big thing, the cold and the hot pools, which I can attest are very cold and very hot. Breathing, and I prioritize sleep. I'm fiercely defensive of my sleep.
How many hours? How many hours do you do?
Yeah, it's not so much, the Weet-Bix. Yeah. It's not so much the quantity versus the quality.
Okay.
So ideal for me is sort of 7 to 8. Realistically, it doesn't happen. But the key for me is sleep before midnight. So if I can get a good 3 or so hours sleep before midnight, that's typically when your body is at its most physically restorative. Generally around about midnight, everybody's different, but around about midnight, you switch a little bit more into a slightly different restoration process. So I find that as long as I'm not up burning the candle till sort of midnight, 1 a.m., I'm absolutely fine, even on sort of 6 or 5 hours sleep if need be, if I get up early and I have to get cracking early.
Are there any practices or boundaries you put in place before you sleep to maybe help people out there to maybe if they're not able to get the quality, the quantity of sleep, they can hone in on the quality? What do you do, or are there any boundaries you set in place to help with the quality?
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
supplements too also.
Yeah, it's probably more, I think that you move the needle the furthest with controlling the light in your bedroom and controlling the time that you go to bed. If you can have a consistent bedtime and you can control the light, so I use those, those silly blue light blocker glasses, the red light glasses at night. I'll have a dim light on my Kindle if I'm reading, but I won't be on the laptop in bed, or I won't have a TV screen on Netflix or anything like that. I'm just defensive, like fiercely defensive about stuff like that, because I know it'll trash my sleep and I perform so poorly the next day. So it's not so much a routine. It's probably more boundaries, like you're saying, like just protecting those boundaries.
And let's go back, take a back step, Michael, and because where we are now is not where you've always been. And so could you take us back in time to potentially where your fitness journey began?
It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Have we got a black and white screen to switch to? So
was it something that you were interested in from a very early age?
Yeah. So my background is like a very kind of like, traditional Aussie background. Four boys who played a lot of sport together. My greatest challenge was probably I was too aggressive with the fork. And so what that sort of eventuated in was me being very unathletic, but very sporty. So I've always had a passion for sport, but all of a sudden, as I went through my teenage years and I became quite unhealthy. And it almost was a little bit of that rolling stone that was just sort of gathering momentum. And there was a sort of there was a peripheral awareness, but not really enough knowledge or awareness to sort of stop it before it got too far away. And so basically the less athletic I became, or the more overweight I became, the less sporty I was sort of able to become. And I think that's probably where it tugged on my heartstrings enough to kind of go, at some point I needed to do something about it. My academic background was civil engineering, but I sort of didn't have a passion for it per se. But then I'd switched over from soccer to rugby union in my early 20s at about 21. And it was good because I was the new kid in a team and it was a fresh start, and I started getting fit and I really enjoyed that feeling. A year or so into that journey, I could see like the weight starting to come off to the point that I was actually really, really enjoying how much more sporty I could become again. I had a very sort of fortuitous, unfortunate moment where I had an injury. I had an ankle sprain or something. And instead of running my German Shepherd in the afternoon, which I used to do every day, I lived near a bush track and I had a motorbike. And occasionally we would just go for a wrap through the trails. And one day he was running alongside like he always did, and he's caught out the corner of his eye a rabbit on the other side of my motorbike. And he's basically just turned straight across under my front tyre. So I T-boned him and went over the top of him. And I've sort of flown off into the distance and landed in a pretty bad way.
Did he live?
He did.
Okay, good.
He did. For a minute or so, there was no response.
Yeah.
He was sort of over there. I was sort of over there. I was trying to work out what worked and what didn't work. Anyway, then I started calling out his name, thinking, oh, no, he's not with us anymore.
Yeah.
And then I started hearing him whimper, and then he came over, and then I shouted at him for what he did. But he was alive.
Yeah.
He went on to live a pretty good life, actually, to be fair. So he was 4. I think he lived till about 12 or 13. Yeah. But for me, I ended up in hospital. A fair bit was damaged. But the main sort of procedure I needed was a knee reconstruction, which you and I have spoken about, our Rico twins.
We share that with many other people in the world, unfortunately, is coming
Yeah, it's a very common one, and
Yeah.
it's a really common one with the netball,
Yeah.
which we were speaking about before. But the interesting thing for me was it opened up a world during rehab to a complete new industry, which I'd started to get passionate about getting fit. And I'd had this idea that maybe I'll get a certificate 3 in fitness and become like a fitness trainer on the side of being civil engineer. But diving into the rehab of that knee reconstruction and actually understanding a little bit more about it, anatomy and physiology, something clicked. And it was kind of like, this is where I need to be. So I sort of just followed that. That led me into getting, formally qualified as a personal trainer. Obviously, my journey was really sort of accelerated at that point. I was now in like tip-top shape, felt good, felt like I could help other people, and probably most importantly, wanted to share what I was able to do with other people who are the people that look for personal trainers to help.
Yeah, can we go back again, Michael, to potentially looking at before the transformation and the accident? And because I think a lot of young people may be still struggling with this today, even more so. Why was it, do you think, that you were struggling with the fork? You were eating a lot of food, and is there anything you can speak to potentially of helping people understand potentially what was a problem there?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I'm mindful I don't want to tread into waters where I get sort of too dogmatic on any particular sort of nutrition topic. However, for me, I grew up in an era where, television only just had remote controls. So you weren't really like bouncing around to Netflix and YouTube and, all these other things. You sort of had the TV. There was no cable TV, obviously. So what that meant was you were a pretty captive audience for marketing companies. And also being a sports lover and a young boy, if an athlete was shown on an ad and they did something, I was impressionable enough to kind of go, well, I want to do the same thing. And I think you and I were joking a wee while ago about one of the ads was like it was a Wheat Bix or something ad where it was kind of like, how many do you do? You remember it, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I remember I told Michael off air that I used to sleep in my pads on a Friday night and wake up on a Saturday to play cricket, and I'd, say, how many do you do? And I'd eat as many Wheat Bix as I possibly could.
You'd try and beat Brett Lee, right? Yeah. So, I was...
How many did you actually do, though?
Well, this is the thing. I was sort of blessed with this ability to eat a lot of food as a kid. And so these sort of competitions for me were like stuff that I could go really well at. So, mate, I could do 10 to 15 Wheat Bix and then, 4 to 6 pieces of toast with Vegemite. And thinking that I was, this fueling this Iron Man, right? When in actual fact, for me, it... and I laugh about it now because I do understand. But for me, it sort of cascaded this really poor outcome, health outcome. And it was cascaded by effectively what was way too many calories, but probably more important for me, way too much processed food and way too many sort of processed carbohydrates. So not enough good quality protein, not enough good quality fats, and probably way less calories than I probably needed, even though I thought I was the next sort of George Gregan or Brett Lee or whatever it might have been.
So is that still a problem today? Are young people deeply influenced by the advertisements of large food corporations? Is it still a problem in today's society for our young people?
Yeah, interestingly enough, it's probably more so because children are getting captured early. I have a 4-year-old boy, and the poor kid is a spitting image of me. So one gift I wanted to give him was protecting his breakfast every day. So when I sort of transitioned in life after he was born into sort of, being a little bit more at home, I made sure that he had a whole foods breakfast that I cooked for him every day from the moment he was on solids. Because I do believe that convenience and the challenges of being a parent lead us to sort of going for things that marketers are very, very good at putting in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't have that education, and I was fortunate that I did go down the path of educating myself,
Mm-hmm.
if we don't have that education, we will still aspire to be like the person who is the Brett Lee or the George Gregan, who,
Mm-hmm.
you know, whoever that may be.
Yeah. It's a very special and potentially rare thing that, and I think I look at it as a nutritional perspective that you want to pass on what you've learned to your child. What is it about nutrition that parents today, if there was a few key elements, I guess, rules that you would pass on to parents that would love to be able to feed their children healthy, nutritious meals?
Yeah. So again, you know, I'm mindful that not one sort of approach works for every person, but I would say things that are pretty ubiquitous across the board are, you know, be careful what the marketing company is telling you.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very good chance that they're more interested in their own business than your child's health.
Yeah.
So take everything with a, you know, proverbial pinch of salt, whether salt's your thing or not. And look, I'm also mindful that convenience and budget are two really, really unique factors that each person has to contend with. But if you can remove convenience and budget and say, hey, I do have a bit of time able to commit to this, and hey, we do have some okay resources to be able to commit to this as well. And I recognize that's, you know, that's not always easy. But I would say, look, if you can prepare food that's made from real foods, and you can find the right quality protein for your child, and getting the appropriate amount of protein as part of an overall balanced diet that they enjoy, you know, full of fresh fruit and veg if you can afford it. But yeah, look, the less stuff you're getting out of a packet and the more stuff you're getting from a farmer generally is a great place to sort of work towards, or a fisherman even around here.
Some key takeaways I took from that is trying to find or get down to your local farmers markets. And when you say good protein, what does that look like for you? What's some of the key indicators you look for that is good protein?
Yeah, and again, you know, I'm very mindful of treading into a place where you know, people may agree or disagree, and that's fine. But you know, I've been doing this for a very, very long time, and I'm comfortable that good quality animal protein that's not raised in a factory setting with fake lights and you know, full of antibiotics and hormones. I think the closer you can get to what Mother Nature provided, the closer you can get to that, I think you're going to get the most bioavailable protein for your body that will come with the least side effects.
And you've mentioned a few times, Michael, that you have spent quite a long time in this industry, and we were at the point in time before that you had came off the motorbike and you began your personal training journey.
Yeah.
When you first finished that, was it a certificate? Did you do a certificate?
Yeah, back in the day, it was Certificate 3 and Certificate 4. Yeah.
When you finished that, where did you walk out into the world of personal training?
So it was about that time. There was a few things going on in my personal life, and I kind of needed to have a bit of a break. So I took a sabbatical and I moved to England, where one of my brothers lives. And he got me a gig playing some local cricket up in Yorkshire.
Do you bat, bowl, wicket keep?
Against the Poms, you can do anything, can't you? You don't have to be good at anything, right? This isn't going out to any English people, is it?
With the Ashes, just
Just started. We rolled them in 2 days over in Perth. I think we can be a little cocky, can't we? Just for a moment.
Yeah, I agree.
Before, no doubt, we'll be humbled at some point. So over there, it wasn't a professional league, but they were allowed to have a couple of overseas imports.
Yep.
So my brother was one, being Aussie, obviously, and I was the second import. But I went over there with my PT qualifications. So I took a break from civil engineering, did the sabbatical, went over there and started just doing a little bit of PT over there just to sort of see what it was all about. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. And when my time was up over there, I came back to basically a crossroads. I could go back to what I knew, civil engineering, a little bit of a safe space, wasn't passionate about it. Or I could sort of step into this new world where I just had an overwhelming passion for it, but it was a lot riskier because effectively I'd have to build a business from scratch. It wasn't a job. So I took the plunge and did that and, fell on my feet in many, many ways in terms of where I was, who I was with, the clients I ended up with. I was super fortunate. It was a real golden era in personal training in Sydney back in those days.
What was it about that era, and when was that, Michael? And why was the personal training industry then at a golden?
So we were based in the CBD of Sydney, and we were based in one of the more prestigious gyms there. But the gym was the sort of central hub to the big investment bankers, the big lawyers. It was all within a stone's throw of where they worked. They were going through a golden era in terms of making money, but they were also really burning themselves out. And so they would do their executive health test each year, and inevitably, all the signs were going in the wrong direction each year. And then the executive health tester would say, hey, have you thought about getting a personal trainer? And the interesting thing was, it wasn't so much about we were some oracle of knowledge and, anything like that. But it was more about them who had so much money having an appointment in their diary. Because if they didn't actually have the appointment in their diary, they wouldn't get to the gym. It'd become the end of the day. They'd go out, entertaining clients or boozing, or the ones that went back to their family or whatever, and then, would go again. So it was actually more about the accountability piece for them. And then because I was with such a good group of trainers, we had a fantastic environment. So it was actually a really good place to be as well. It was, 2004, 2005, it was early. Like, personal training wasn't big in Australia back then, but it was very much on the rise. You could see there was a groundswell of trainers entering into the market each year. But it's quite a mature market now. It's quite a mature industry now. But I was very fortunate in that I really sort of came in on a big upslope of when there was a lot more demand for it, particularly from these corporates in the big smoke who had, big bank balances, but big waistlines every year as well.
What did you learn from them, Michael? These people that had a lot of, I guess, wealth, but maybe were lacking on their health. I mean, looking back at that time, what were some key learnings you took away from their lifestyle?
Well, because I'd come from sort of being an unhealthy young man, I could kind of relate to their kind of big appetites. They had a big appetite for drinking, big appetite for entertaining, but they also had a big appetite for working. They just hadn't developed a big appetite for working out or exercising. So I guess in a sense that even though they were very, very successful and I was a young boy or young bloke, there were still sort of commonalities in a sense. And so I guess what I learned from them was that, if you turn your powers to good and not evil, you can kind of do really good things. I'd obviously shifted my approach to my own health. And so I think they enjoyed seeing that as well. They liked my story. I was walking the walk as well as talking the talk. So I think a bit of that rubbed off on them. But what did I learn from them? Look, I learnt don't leave it too late. to look after your health. Because, healthy people want a whole lot of things, but sick people only want one thing.
Yeah.
And you can have all the money in Australia, but if you haven't got your health, what good does it do you? So the learning for me was intuitively having a balance of being ambitious, maybe somewhat entrepreneurial, was fine, but not at the cost of my health to a point that I couldn't get it back.
And because I guess you walked through that struggle that people face potentially because as your career went on, you went to open six something large franchises in gyms as well, and managing all of that. What worked for you to be able to keep fitness a priority?
Yeah, I stayed a personal trainer.
Yeah.
So even when I went into sort of owning a fitness business, I was still in my PT studio in Sydney.
Because you opened your own studio?
Yeah. I had my own studio, which I loved, but it wasn't going to provide me the financial means to have a family, create a legacy, do all the things along that line.
Why? What was the struggle there? What was the block, Michael?
Oh, it's a failure of a business model.
Okay.
When you
Personal training.
that particular model.
Okay.
Yeah, that particular model. And if I could just, basically summarize it, the model was that we tried to get really, really good at personal training. And then we would try and bring on more personal trainers into our studio, and we would try and develop them and get them good. And that sounds like a pretty good business model. You can scale and grow and have a lot of trainers, doing the work for you. The thing with personal training is it's a very personal industry. And so if you've been training together with someone for a long time, you may not necessarily want to train with someone new. And so there was always a little bit of a disconnect between selling the new trainer to some of the existing clients. Most of the clients were okay. But the big limitation to the model is that if you're running a business, labor should only take up X percent of your revenue. But if your labor starts getting really good and really expert, and your X percent can only pay them this much, but if they went out on their own, they could earn 2 times that, you can't keep them forever. And so you're starting again with someone new again. And so the clients would either leave with the trainer or they would get frustrated having to start with a new trainer again and sort of build all that up. So the scale from a business perspective wasn't great, but the personal nourishment about the relationships and the community that I built was phenomenal. And it was only really until I started my own family that I was comfortable enough to step away from it. Such was like, the power that it had on me. And so by being in that for so many years, it was very easy for me to continually walk the walk, to your question about, how and why did I sort of maintain my health.
Yeah, I think you just touched on an interesting point, Michael, of the personal aspect of personal training. I think maybe there is a unknownst of what personal training really is, and maybe there's a persona or a myth about what people think it is. Could you help us from your understanding? What is personal training?
So for me, any sort of customer service is about solving problems. In personal training, you get a wide array of problems put in front of you. But when you really understand the client and you sort of dig deeper, ultimately it comes down to they're not as happy as they would like to be. And so it's your job as a personal trainer to try and reverse engineer that happiness through your time together in a fitness facility.
Mm-hmm.
It can be aesthetic, it can be a security, like an insecurity that they're sort of working through. It can be an energy thing.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many things other than just the muscles in the mirror. But because people are in a gym, when you first ask them what their goal is, a lot of people think they need to answer along those lines. And I think a good personal trainer will accept that answer and not challenge them. But over time, through building rapport, will peel that onion out and really try and dig down into what's going to move the needle on their happiness the most.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that the newer personal trainers probably take that first answer at face value and just work on that without really trying to dig deeper.
That's such an interesting perspective, Michael. I wasn't, it makes sense. And are people aware of they're needing something at a deeper level? And I didn't put the correlation of what you're trying to solve is not muscles, it's actually happiness.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
In someone's life.
Yeah. Look, I would say 90% of the personal training industry clients are over 35 years of age.
Mm-hmm.
I made that stat up, but basically just looking around, just in terms of think of your financial needs and people who are looking for a personal trainer, different to online coaches. So online coaches are obviously a big thing for the younger generation who are looking at, body transformation, competing bodybuilding. But people who want that one-on-one personal trainer with them in the session, the price point of the service typically eliminates a large portion of the youth. And the youth don't perceive their health to be such a problem that they need to invest so much money in a trainer. So by being kind of that little bit more mature, there's either a good awareness about it's not just the muscles in the mirror, or they still say it, but it doesn't take long to sort of scratch away and realize that the truth's underneath there a little bit. And so, when I would first spend time with a client, I would like to understand what they did outside of the gym. And typically I found it was things like playing with children, or if they're a little bit older, playing with grandchildren, getting up and down off stairs and things like that. These things that no one would ever say, I want a personal trainer so I can get up and down stairs. They would say, I want to have stronger legs. I was like, cool, I can make your legs stronger, but why?
Yeah.
So I can get up and down off the ground. Yeah, but why? Because I have a 6-month-old grandkid.
Yeah.
Okay, but why? Because I want to play with them. Do you see what I mean? How it's like by peeling the onion, you actually get to what's going to make them happy.
Yeah. And that's such a simple but innate, powerful need that people want, and what you're giving and helping them achieve, being able to get off the ground to play with your grandchildren. And people, wow, it's incredible.
Yeah, look, it's, older people falling is almost like a death sentence. So if they haven't trained how to get up off the ground, the moment that they slip, I'm getting a little bit older, my eyesight's not so good, I trip on something, I fall over. I haven't been training, so my bone density's weak. I'm going to break something when I get down there and I can't get back up. There's a terrible combination. The health outcomes for those people is diabolical statistically. So if I'm training people to be able to get down and up off the ground, I'm giving them like real world skills here, like real self-defense skills.
I think this is also a very important message to our community here in Mackay, because I think I have a statistic here that say over 40% of our residents in Mackay are aged 35 to 64. So nearly half of our population is in that bracket of 35 to 64 years old that potentially are they're in that age to require personal training.
Yeah, I think once you sort of hit, 30, 35, all of your young hormones, start to die, start to really fall away. So what's that old saying? If you don't use it, you lose it, right? So, I'm a big believer in people doing what's appropriate for them, but really trying to sort of maintain their own health, just so they're not a burden on anybody else as much as anything else.
And so we've unraveled potentially the deeper reasons why people may come to a personal trainer at an older age. But say, for instance, people at a younger age, Michael, what have some patterns you've recognized in our younger generation that have potentially caused some difficulties and people that have come to you at a younger age?
I think in the bigger cities, there's definitely a lack of movement and a lack of outdoor nature for kids. It was one of the reasons I relocated from Sydney up to Queensland, was I wanted to be able to spend more time, outside, engaging with nature. And so, in Mackay, I think there's a really good sporting community in Mackay, and I think kids are encouraged to be athletic. But I would say that the trend to avoid is them choosing gaming over outside games. If we can avoid that trend, then I think we've probably avoided the biggest pitfall. Kids on their own in the dungeon playing games all night. Versus the kids who are playing sport with their mates, who are learning about teamwork, who are learning resilience, who are learning how to lose, overcome adversity, shit that happens in real life, rather than the kid who's playing Fantastic Four or whatever they're doing in the dungeon, right? So, and I think I've only been in Mackay a brief time, but one of the reasons why I want to connect with as many sporting associations as possible is because I love it. And I love what it does for kids, the confidence it gives kids. And the biggest challenge I see in the generation coming through is a lack of resilience. And I think nothing teaches resilience better than losing. And if you play sport, you will lose a lot. And so you've just got to learn. Like as a parent, you see your toddler cry because they lose and you want to run over and, make everything all right. But you know what? Dust yourself off and try again. Because life's going to do it to you, I promise.
And how have you dealt with some of the what have been some of the losses in your life that you've had to deal with, Michael, and what has helped you overcome them?
Well, maybe I'm pig-headed, maybe I'm ignorant, but I see losses as lessons. And someone once said to me that there's a reason, and I'm just looking at the car mural behind you, and look at the size of the windscreen. Now look at the size of the rearview mirror. And it's like that's how life should be. Look forward through that much, and focus on the back that much. And I think the people who kind of get weighed down by losses or, it really unravels them, I think their rearview mirror is too big. It's taken up too much of their vision. Whereas for me, I need to see it there because I need it to be a lesson. But I want that forward windscreen showing me where I want to go. So maybe I'm pig-headed, maybe I'm ignorant, but we grew up without a lot of resources. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in the mouth. Broken family, mum and dad separated. So you learn through adversity. And what are your options? Like generally you've got sort of two options. do nothing or do something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a do something guy. Whether it's right or wrong, I'm going to do something.
Mm. And so when you're looking forward, Michael, what do you see coming up here in Mackay and Fitness Cartel, and the future of bringing something so profound to our community? Because there has been nothing like this come to our community, that to this scale, to this level of innovation. Yeah, it's special.
Thank you, mate. Look, I think I've been very blessed to land in this facility.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the old Amart building.
Yeah.
A lot of people in Mackay still call it the old Amart building.
Not for long.
Well, I was just going to say that I think my hope is that it's not for long,
Mm-hmm.
that it's still referred to as the old Amart building.
Mm-hmm.
You know, our external lighting went up today on the sign, so they're all lit up now. It feels, when you see lights turn on, it feels like, okay, this is getting real. And so my hope is that we build a very inclusive community here, so that the people who are serious about their health and wellness are happy with the facilities and amenities that we've been able to put in here. But the people who are maybe new to fitness or maybe a little bit intimidated also feel welcome. You know, we've got dedicated zones for people who are new to fitness. Again, to try and make it as inclusive as possible. You know, we believe that it should be accessible for all people, and wherever you are on your health and fitness journey. And so, you know, my hope, to your question, is that it lives up to that plan.
And as we mentioned before, Michael, we have an aging population, and I guess the ethos of Fitness Cartel is it's quite bright, and it's at the forefront of technology. Is to our elderly listeners potentially in our community, are they going to be able to come in here and be included, and what measures are Fitness Cartel taking to be all inclusive to potentially also the elder community?
Yeah, well, there's probably a number of things. So first and foremost, we want to recognize that, we are a brand that is sort of at the forefront of the fitness community.
Yeah.
And so, we are a little bit edgy. Yeah, you're right. Like the lights are a little bit sort of nightclubby. The music's going to be, you know, pretty sort of new. But having said that, you know, we have a full wellness facility. Soft lighting, nice colours, sauna, warm pools, cold pool. We have wellness modalities, hyperbaric oxygen chamber, red light therapy, massage therapy, dietitian, exercise physiologist. The community will build itself. Our team, our staff is going to be relentless in their role of being welcoming and inclusive to all. And it's just something that I've always done with all of my facilities, is that, we're big enough for there to be a space for sort of every person.
Yeah, I come from the perspective too, because you specialize in rehabilitation. You specialized in rehabilitation with, I guess, elderly community as well. And
more mature.
More mature, sorry. Is that how we pronounce it?
Yeah.
Pronounce it more mature, yeah.
Sometimes,
I might get a lot of backlash here.
Non-recent school leavers is one term I heard once. I was like, I like that. That's very politically correct.
Yeah, in the young person, in the children's, working with children's space, is like we say young person.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
so.
There you go.
Okay, for you specialize in the more mature community.
And I guess for me, you know, I'm someone that's, you know, technically middle-aged myself. And so not only did I spend a lot of time as a personal trainer over the last few decades working with the more mature athlete, I'm cognizant that that's probably only around the corner for me a little bit as well. And when you know, the beautiful thing about this brand is that they've trusted me to put my own spin on exactly what's gone on in here. And so selfishly, I'm always going to, like, you're going to be biased with how you see things. So I'm always going to put things in here that resonate with me and how I want a sort of a fitness space to look as well. And even, I don't even know if I've shown you the creche yet or not, but the creche is so big that we've even had a custom playground built. And I'll show you later. And again, selfishly, I've got a 4-year-old son and I'm like, what's he going to like have the most fun in? Thinking that parents who put their children in the creche will often still have parent guilt, thinking that the kids are just on a screen, you know what I mean? And it's kind of like, oh, I've better get little Timmy out of, you know, the screen. Whereas we've got, you know, we'll have Ninja Warrior Mackay contestants in the next 5 years because of this playground we've just built. And so, like I think to your point, with regard to that aging population, well, not aging population, but a population that probably has a high percentage or high proportion of more mature people, you know, you can rest assured that someone who knows that demographic well, me, has purpose-built this facility.
And not only that, Michael, there's been, like you said, you mentioned in a previous, when we called off air, that there's so much attention to detail that goes into the Fitness Cartel warehouse ethos. I mean, I think you said that in each different part of the gym, there is a different scent.
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet, yeah.
It's just a scent of construction at the moment. And it's testament to Nathan James, you know, the franchisor and CEO. He and his wife, Grace, are fastidious and they're very protective of the look, the feel, the smell. Like they want a level of, and it's a cliche, but affordable luxury. They want people to feel good coming into the gym. You know, our bathrooms are legit 6-star bathrooms. Like it's ridiculous actually how good a quality they are.
Yeah, I just went and tested them out before and very nice.
Unbelievable. Like it's truly, truly remarkable. But it is a testament, again, and that's what I was sort of saying before with regard to, it is at the pointy end of the fitness industry, but it's still inclusive. And I think it's a great balance to hold.
And because you've trained in gyms all over the world, world-class gyms, I mean, what makes a good gym? What makes not a good gym? What makes a great gym? And the elements that go into that.
Well, to be honest, it's a tricky question to answer because I like home garage gyms. I like rusty old surf clubs. I like all gyms.
Yeah.
But in terms of like what makes a great modern fitness facility, I would say, you know, if you can create the right environment from the start, this inclusive environment, people are going to want to do well. So you've always got to kind of reverse engineer. We want people to do well. What do we need to do to make that happen? So it's got to look good. It's got to be clean. It's obviously got to be well equipped. And if you're fortunate like I am with this space, it's got to be well laid out and thoughtfully laid out. So the facilities that I took the greatest inspiration from, you know, over the years of just staying at different places and stuff over the years, have typically been the all-in-ones where you go to, you know, a really nice hotel in Germany or something like that, and there's a really well decked out gym, but then there's this massive wellness. Like the Europeans, they do the wellness associated with the gym. And so I touched on a term before where I talked about work in and work out. So for me, what makes a great fitness facility is somewhere where you can come every day, whether you're having a workout or a work in.
Back to personal training, Michael, one thing that you shared with me off air that was very interesting was that the space as a young person going into the personal training arena, it's tough, and there is a lot of unbeknownst on how the machine works. Could you help us get an insider look into the struggles of being a young personal trainer?
Yeah.
Because you said it's a low success rate. It's a very low success rate.
I think the average tenure last time I checked a couple of years ago was something like 8 months was the average lifespan of a personal trainer. Wow. Given, guys who sort of came up when I came up, 20 plus years. Some of them are still going, 25 plus years. And I think that the personal trainer's getting into it for the wrong reason. And then B, the education and certification is not setting them up for success to go into the real world. Because effectively, in 95% of personal training jobs, you're actually a sole trader running your own business. And so you spend the last 6 months, 9 months learning about which way an elbow bends. But no one teaches about tax or BAS or direct debits or selling or pricing. And so most of the trainers are having to play catch up whilst they're running a business that's not making any money. And so they're just going backwards, and you can only go backwards for so long before you finally pull the pin and go, hey, I've given it a go. So whilst the average might be 8 months or whatever it is, you can appreciate that the people who are sort of getting out the 2 or 3 months leading up to that would be pretty brutal for them to finally make that decision that enough's enough. And so I think the two big issues are, I don't think personal trainers are getting in for the right reason. And I don't think they're being set up well to succeed from the get-go.
What are some reasons why personal trainers would get into the industry for the wrong reasons?
The classic one I see a lot is the young buff kid who looks brilliant, trains really well, beats really well, and they want to work with people just like them. And inevitably, when I say, like, what's your ideal client or who's your ideal client, they'll describe themselves. And I'm like, can you afford a personal trainer? Like, no. I'm like, okay. But people like you can now afford a personal trainer and want a personal trainer. And as I touched on earlier, they're not old enough yet to know the problems that they need solving. And personal training is about solving problems. And so they don't have the life experience to kind of go, hey, I want to help grandmothers get down and up off the ground. Because people whose health has eluded them will invest more in getting that health right. And if you're a personal trainer and you need to pay your own bills, you probably want to find clients who are prepared to pay you. So I think that that's probably where I see the biggest disconnect between expectations and reality. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So do you have advice to young people, Michael, young trainers, that, because I look at people like Alex Hormozi and these people that have made it in both, and I guess like yourself, they've made it in business and also in the fitness world. What do you think has worked well for you? I mean, what has been your ingredients of success, both internally and externally, that have allowed you to defy the odds?
Well, again, I think I was fortunate. I was a product of that era.
Yeah.
I fell into a very good gym where I had good mentors, not official mentors, but just through osmosis, seeing the people around me and what they were doing and how they were acting. And I wasn't 18, I was in my early to mid 20s by then. So I had a little bit of life experience as well. So I could actually communicate with adults and So all of those things are going to give you a better success rate. Communication's key. And if you're an 18-year-old that doesn't know how to speak to a 38-year-old or a 48-year-old, well, they're the ones that have got money who want a personal trainer. So there's going to be a disconnect there. So I feel like I was quite fortunate in the environment that I was in maybe a couple of the skills I was sort of given. And then in terms of like longevity and how I've sort of ended up here, it's probably more through I haven't wanted to do anything else. Like I've been able to scratch the business itch whilst being in the fitness industry. And they're probably my two passions. So it was more probably just falling, one step in front of the other, bumping through a few things along the way and ending up here.
And I mean, can you help us? There's at Fitness Cartel, fitness, health, wellness. What's the difference between fitness and health?
Whilst they sort of, come with their own definitions, they're all pretty subjective terms. If I said to you, what's strong, you're going to give me what your version of strong is.
Yeah.
What's tall? What's going to be your version of tall? It's very subjective. But we think at Fitness Cartel that, whatever you think of fitness is, we can help you with it. And then with a comprehensive sort of facility like this that offers a lot of those multi-modalities that I touched on before, I think whatever you think health is and kind of want to improve, I think we've got stuff under this roof that can help you do that. And wellness, very, very similar as well. So some of it's going to be, the physical equipment, but a lot of it's going to be your interpretation of the word and sort of how that transcends.
And I'm curious, Michael, because opening 6 franchises and having a lot of success in managing people and teams, but you seem to have stayed quite connected to family and to your personal boundaries. I mean, it was quite hard. You don't have any social media or very little social media. Like, can you walk us through why you have made those choices? Especially, which is kind of counterintuitive to someone who has seen business success.
Well, from a social media point of view, I'm definitely not the brand.
Yeah.
Definitely not the brand. And in fact, I would probably be, counterproductive if I tried to be the face of the brand.
Yeah.
The success has always been about the team, the environment and the community. And most of that stuff is done behind closed doors. So it's not like a conscious, hey, I want to be like uber private or stuff like that. It's more just recognizing that I don't want to get in the way of the community that we're building. And I definitely don't want it to be about me because it's not about me. I've got a business partner here. I've got a family that support me. But most importantly, there's a wonderful team here who are actually the face of this particular facility. And head office at Fitness Cartel, there are some big personalities there that are probably more aligned with representative of the brand there.
Yeah, I was coming from the angle potentially of from a mental health point of view. Like, is it something that you look at as like potentially it's not really healthy and so maybe you disengaged, or it's...
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't think I've had that conscious recognition of it. I'm slightly... I'm that next generation older as well, like don't do TikTok and Snap and all that sort of stuff. So there's no...
Sounds like a card game when you say like that. TikTok, Snap.
Exactly. I think they are. So there's no real draw for me in that world. Like I still text people.
Yeah.
I even call some people.
And advice, Michael, to, I guess, young people out there that are just trying to find their way and be. I mean, I guess before we answer that question, the first question is, what does success look like and mean for you today? I mean, you've again come back to the multi-franchisee, now opening a monumental gym here in Mackay. What does success look like for you at the moment?
Well, success will look like these doors opening at 4 o'clock on Thursday.
Is this enough though? Is success, will it ever be enough, you know?
Yeah, look, it's a good question. I'm not really driven financially. You know, I left my previous franchise because I didn't think we were offering enough modalities under the one roof. I wanted to align with a brand that was more in keeping with the culmination of my professional experience. So I'm so excited, you know, to be part of this brand. I literally pinch myself when I walk in here every morning, just in terms of like what we've been able to accomplish. But in terms of like what is success, for me, success is, you know, being a good dad, providing for my family, and being available to those who are close to me. You know, sort of so protecting those boundaries so that the people who are close to me, I'm still close with. As trite as this sounds, this is fun. It's just so nice that you can do something fun that hopefully can help, you know, provide for your family.
I think that's a really lucky spot to be in today's society, to be able to do something that you enjoy and that is fun and that can also, support your family. And so, Michael, what's your advice to young people out there that are looking to find their way, that are looking for guidance?
Yeah, it's a great question, because I think the key to your question there is they're looking for guidance. And I was one of those, and I probably still am, to be fair. If you ask my wife, she'll probably say, I was one of those young blokes who couldn't tell me anything.
Yeah.
So I wasn't looking for guidance. I was like fumbling in the dark. You know, I went down the wrong career path. Not wrong, but I went down a career path and I just managed to fumble my way into something else and, you know, followed my passion. But I think if I could sum it up, it's kind of, you know, live for both today and tomorrow. I think young people live too much for today and old people live too much for tomorrow. And I think if you can kind of get that right, you'll end up instilling the right amount of discipline to prepare you for tomorrow, but enough creativity and joy to be present in the moment and have fun. And I think that's the hardest balance, particularly young blokes face. It's all or nothing with young blokes. And so if they were truly looking for guidance, I would dig into those two things. What are you doing that's nourishing you today? And what are you doing that's preparing you for tomorrow? And is the balance right? And is that going to take you where you think you want to go? And from that, you can reverse engineer. You can, as I was saying before, you peel that layer of onions back to work out, you know, a little bit more of the intricacies there.
And potentially you can find that guidance, that mentor in personal training as well.
In terms of as being a personal trainer?
As I think what I didn't realize was that potentially that guidance of having a mentor and helping see through the fog of doing more today and thinking about tomorrow can come from a personal trainer.
Yeah, well, definitely one of the personal trainers' skill sets in a lot of their repertoires is that ability to create accountability. And sometimes discipline doesn't come on your own, but it comes through someone else teaching you discipline. And then, it's a bit like a muscle that you work, and then you can run with it from there. And I think that's one of the great things that personal trainers can provide for their clients. I jump in the cold plunge, most days, and I never look forward to it. But I just remind myself, I'm not here to negotiate. I made my decision on what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it. But that's come through building up that discipline. So I think, to answer your question, I think personal trainers have that innate power to help create discipline by being religious with the accountability, which is really, really cool influence you can have on someone.
Michael, it's been a pleasure to sit down with you today in the soon-to-be grand opening of Fitness Cartel Mackay. And I just, as I peek over my shoulder, I realised the beautiful artwork behind us. Could you tell us a little bit about the art? What's the story behind these particular ladies and the Chevy here? And
yeah, well, Fitness Cartel, in its early inception, was very big with sort of the superheroes. And so the earlier facilities are adorned on the walls by superheroes. And then a couple of years ago, I'm told that Nathan James, the CEO and franchisor, said, why don't we have a little bit of fun with cartel? And so why don't we sort of lean into it a little bit? And there's a theme called Mexican Day of the Dead. And so they thought that they would sort of lean into that. And the artwork has all been done by a graffiti artist called Soffles. And he does everything with a spray can. That detail is with a spray can. He's one of the nicest humans in the world as well. And just the quality is amazing. And it's always nice to see when people first come in here and they first see it and they're just like a little bit awestruck by it. But yeah, that's lit up beautifully tonight as well. And as we sort of finalise our countdown to opening, all of the finishing touches to the lighting in here will really sort of set it off, and it'll be a sight to behold come this Thursday, that's for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait till this Thursday, Michael. And yeah, congratulations on bringing something incredibly innovative, different, and from what I've learned today, also a space where people can really heal, heal and find parts of themselves that need their problems to be solved. And I'm so glad to know that Fitness Cartel here in Mackay has your guidance, your expertise. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the success in this space to be a place of transformation in people's lives, Michael.
Happy memories, mate.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a wrap, guys.